Swedish, and you can see the style here in this room. The style of this period is called the Empire style, or the Napoleonic style. In French you say Empire style. In Sweden you call it Karl Johan style. Yes, we will usually name our styles after our kings. And typical for this time period of this style, and this is the best place to explore the Empire style in this palace. This is the best example of the Empire style in Sweden. It's popping colors, whole covering carpets on the floors. The material of choice is British influence, mahogany. Gilded brass, very popular. All made by Swedish hands. Even the chandeliers, who looks Russian or French, is made in Stockholm. And it's very militaristic. Even on the chandeliers you see armaments, shields, spears. And when you look on the walls, we are in a military tent. Right? You see the pilasters, the textiles? Europe being in war for 20 years have affected the style choice. So it's very militaristic, everything. But you have added some iconography that is more Swedish. For example, oak leaves. So you have oak leaves, you have laurel branches here on the mirrors. And this is the first time when you explore with more Swedish materials. So on the tables here, you see porphyr. And porphyr is a very hard material, usually volcanic magma, which is crystallized for hundreds of millions of years. Roman Caesars used porphyr as a royal and empire-like material, and even Egyptian pharaohs used porphyr as their material of choice. And this became popular again during the Napoleonic age in Europe, and Sweden so happens to have a lot of porphyr manufacturers, which Karl Johan buys up and kickstarts anew. So in every Swedish royal palace you will always find porphyr.
The price of the porphyr compared to marble, which one is?
It depends on how you make it. If you make very beautiful porphyr pieces, they usually outrank marble.
Okay.
And if you have very expensive marble from Carrara, this red, for example, which is very expensive, then it outranks that. But it depends on how you use it.
Okay.
And you can see porphyr urns on top of the tile stoves.
Okay.
And the best example is really when you look outside the window, you see a huge porphyr urn. 9 tons.
Okay.
Took 2 years to take here to this palace, and Karl Johan invited journalists when this was opened in 1826, and they joked around about this palace with it being very small compared to the very huge urn just outside. And that's actually not porphyr, but a similar material, because you cannot make porphyr material that large. And you can see that when we go on a bit in the rooms, I will tell you the difference between porphyr and fake porphyr. And here you've also experimented with Viking iconography. Sweden and the Nordic countries have been ashamed for the Viking heritage. This is not something nice. When you go back to antiquity, in the other countries of Europe, Italy, France, Spain, Greece, you have philosophers, you have statesmen, you have cities, you have temples. What do the Nordic countries have? Vikings. Plunderers, marauders, rapists. Not something you want to brag about. Sweden doesn't have any large temples, no ancient history to look back on. So it's first with nationalism in the late 1700s that the Vikings come into art history. And so the picture which we see depicted here in Gräsell, so gold and white, is actually a Viking saga from Norse mythology about King Gylfe. And you see King Gylfe riding to battle above the mirror. His country has been invaded by the giants. So the giants are attacking the Nordic, and they try to fight them off, but it doesn't go so well. So the gods intervene. And the king of the gods in Norse mythology is Odin. So Odin comes down, fighting off the giants, burying the giant king above the door here. And King Gylfe, he is so pleased with this that he offers Odin the Swedish throne. And Odin gets busy, creates the first temple in Uppsala, an old Viking site in Sweden today. He created the first Swedish city, Sigtuna. So it's very fun when I have people from Sigtuna visiting here, because then I can say, did you know your city was built by a god? And starts a blossoming trade about the other times though. So you have a Norse saga in this room, who is mainly inspired by French Empire style and English mahogany, but with this Norse elements. And this saga about King Gylfen Odin is an allegory. Who is Odin? Yeah, he is Bernadotte. Bernadotte comes in, saves the Nordics from the giants, France and Russia, established peace, builds cities, blossoming trade. Yes, this is not very humble. And the palace is built in 2 separate spheres. The top floor is much more splendorous. The bottom floor, much more humble, to emphasize the park and the little palace. He's a king for the Swedes, not over the Swedes. And his motto is, all the Swedish royals have mottos, but Karl Johan's motto is, the people's love is my reward. So I had to view this palace in that motto.